This book is about a guy who snatches babies and stabs them to the head with a big knife. Just letting you know. Babystabber, Part 1, The Newborn. Cold October wind bristles the cheek of newborn Chris Robinson as he is carried for the first time from car to house by his mother, fresh from the hospital. Beep! The harsh honk of a locking car stirs the infant. Chris's fresh father rounding the front of his vehicle to join his slow-shuffling wife on her way up the sidewalk that connects their driveway to the front porch of their modest one-story suburban abode. Watching her baby's face with utmost focus, his mother rocks him against her bosom and hums gently to remind him of the safety that he enjoyed inside her quiet womb. Unable to parse the overwhelmingly new details of his surroundings, Chris happily buries his capped and blanketed head up under his mother's breast, blocking out the lights and sounds of the unfamiliar world. His father carefully approaches and tries to ease the weight on his wife's arms by layering his own arms beneath hers. The couple, aflutter with the warmth and excitement for the true beginning of their new lives, continues up the walkway and the single stair to the house's bare front porch. "Oh shit! Forgot my smokes in the car," the dad says, just after unlocking and opening the house door, and so he gestures his wife to head inside before snapping his body back in a hurried rush to the driveway to retrieve his cigarettes. As the mother starts her way inside the house, she hears a faint cough from Chris. Stopping in her tracks, she lifts him into eyesight to be sure that he's okay and finds his expression strained, like he's struggling to force something out. His mother quickly laid the child upon her shoulder, holding him up under one arm and massaging his back with the other. After a couple of seconds, she hears a spurting cough and feels the warmth of thin, milky vomit upon her shoulder blade. "It's okay," she whispers, petting the infant's back as he starts to regain his breath. Just as Chris begins to settle back into restful inattention, the grip of a heavy, rough hand suddenly takes him by the body, rips him from his perch, and tosses him up under the armpit of a huge, horrifying man draped in a mist of darkness. As quickly as Chris's mother can fill her lungs, lunge and scream in a aghast gesture, Babystabber puts a 13-inch cleaver straight into the top of Chris's cranium and down through most of his body with a gruesome crunch. His mission accomplished, Babystabber then uncaringly drops the stabbed baby, the hilt of the knife generating a limp thud as the infant corpse hits the floor. The parents, assumably, deal with that, but Babystabber is long gone by then. Part 2, Angel Baby. 2-month-old Eric McLeod is 10 seconds into freefall from the height of a 90-story building. Unluckily, there is not a safety net waiting to catch them below. Instead, there is only Babystabber, squinting skyward with a hand formed into a visor above his eyes, trying to spot his tiny target on its way to the ground. He twirls his massive knife in the grip of his other hand, anxious to get his timing right, like he's playing one of those Kirby quick draw minigames. Or like someone in a real-life quick-draw duel. Aaron, blissfully unaware of all perils, somersaults through the air in their onesie pajamas, eventually becoming uneasy in the stomach and vomiting while their head is at the bottom of their spinning arc, then getting hit in the face with said vomit back at the peak of the spinning arc thanks to falling somewhat faster than the vomit. Below, Babystabber starts to see the speck of something resembling a puke and shit-covered baby hurtling groundward at an alarming speed. Babystabber shuffles a little to the left and then a little to the right and keeps trying to adjust, tensing up his knifing arm and convincing himself of his position. As the baby gets close enough to see the regurgitated soup on its face, there's a glint in Babystabber's eye, and he makes the plunge. Splat! Just like a fruit ninja, Babystabber slices Aaron entirely in half lengthwise. The force of his cut sends the two halves of the baby's body back into the air, and so Babystabber does a whole Metal Gear Rising bit and slices the baby into a bunch of bloody pieces, splattering gore all over the front window of the building that they fell from, and finally drives the knife through the dead infant's still airborne heart because he wouldn't be Babystabber if he didn't get at least one stab in on that baby. As it would happen, dying this way allowed that baby to go to heaven and become an angel baby. Not all Babystabber stories have unhappy endings. Part 3, As Easy As. 9-month-old Elizabeth Manger probably sounds a little old to you by this point in the book. Like, maybe you felt relieved this baby was at least a little bit older than the last two? Or maybe you feel even worse, knowing that this is the first baby that's been alive enough to maybe have started to show some semblance of a personality. After all, this plump-cheeked little girl is currently clutching one of those classic cartoon suckers with the spiral and like a tie-dye pattern, and she's staring at it with such wide-eyed greed and obvious hunger that you couldn't feasibly question her intent to eat that sucker. Babystabber takes that candy from that baby, throws it on the ground, calls her fat, and stabs that baby in the face. Part 4. Lore. You might have wondered by now about Babystabber's motivations. Mainly, Babystabber enjoys stabbing babies. If convenient, he prefers to go straight down through the head and into the body, although in cases such as where a baby might be, say, falling from a 90-story building, and Babystabber isn't sure he can get a clean stab in a regular way, he might do some sort of devil-may-cry chain combo on that baby to vent his frustrations over the situation. Needless to say, he does make sure to stab that baby before it's through regardless. There is no specific age limit on what Babystabber considers a baby, but Babystabber does not stab toddlers. Babystabber knows a baby when he sees one. Babystabber was previously described as a horrifying man draped in a mist of darkness. I would like to be extremely clear about the lack of racial implication in this description. 99% of known serial killers have been Caucasian men historically, and so from a scientific perspective, it's safest to bet that Babystabber is white. But the mist of darkness surrounding him has made his race impossible to discern for onlookers. Beyond that, anything you hear about Babystabber is speculation unconfirmed by this author. I am by no means the world's #1 expert on Babystabber, but I will not share any information on the subject which I wasn't capable of confirming personally. If you have sources with information on Babystabber which you think I should know about, please use the link in the description to reach my contact. And know that in the time that it took for you to listen to this part, Babystabber also stabbed 4 babies. Part 5. 88. Remember the crazy 88 scene from Kill Bill? Well, babies can't do most of that shit, so it wasn't exactly like that when Babystabber came to the hospital, but he did assassinate 88 babies, by way of a knife through the head. Part 6. The end of Babystabber? I think we should probably do something about Babystabber, says Aaron McLeod, the angel baby from Part 2, to the angel baby council that surrounds a reflection pool in heaven, which allows them to gaze into the living world, which is currently showing them what just happened in Part 5. Huh, begins an adorably old-looking baby dressed like a military general. Sure, we have the numbers now after that hospital massacre, but that's only because 1 out of every 8 dead babies is randomly selected to become one of the next generation's guardian angel babies. If someone isn't actively out there ending infant lives, we won't be able to keep our numbers up with human inflation proportionally moving into the next generation. Yeah, see, you all thought that this was worth it when you were assuming that the families were just handling it after losing their babies, like you said in Part 1. When I got here, I decided to look into it, and turns out they totally don't deal with it. In fact, the probability of these parents ending their own lives and or the lives of others is 100%. You kinda actually fucked up really badly thinking Babystabber was a good idea in any context. Aaron retorts. Well, shit! A middle-aged angel baby in a cute little rabbit onesie with curly red hair chimes in, flicking a cigarette butt from her lips to the ground. It's a good thing we finally got a baby with some fucking brains around this dump! She turns around and raises her voice to address the whole platoon of angel babies hovering about the clouds around them. Alright, new recruits and old heads alike, let's fly on down to the world we barely knew and get revenge on this fucking cunt with the knife! Flight of the Valkyries plays in your mind's jukebox as winged angel babies descend from the heavens en masse, Cupid-like bows in hand, and rain a blanket of tiny arrows upon the neighborhood block on which Babystabber is currently stomping towards a house with a yet unstabbed baby inside. Babystabber raises his non-stabbing arm to protect his head, grunting as a dozen miniature arrows stick into his flesh. Flexing the arrowheads right out of his arm like the Rock busting out of that cast in that Fast and the Furious movie, Babystabber begins furiously swiping at the little cherubs fluttering about the sky above him, trying to catch a baby to stab. Don't let up! The bunny suit baby shouts to her platoon, drawing a baby-sized broadsword and charging in for close combat. Enraged from the continued rain of arrows into his back and appendages, Babystabber concentrates on a perfectly timed grab at bunny suit baby's feet, yanking her in and ramming his knife through the top of her head 4 times in rapid succession, goring her brain and insides, and then splattering her corpse across the faces of nearby companions with a roar. Enraged and emboldened by the death of their commander, the Angel Baby Swords and Cords Division comes swooping in, driving tiny blades into the nape of Babystabber's neck and in his thighs and hamstrings. One really badass baby does some Attack on Titan Levi shit up Babystabber's stabbing arm and gets one of those razor wires around it, which, when Titan yanks the dangerous appendage clear off of the beastly man. Just as quickly as this brings smiles to the nearby warrior babies' faces, though, Babystabber wipes them off by getting that badass baby's head in his extant hand and pulverizing that head in his grip. "Don't be scared, team," Aaron exclaims, maintaining the blind spot behind Babystabber's back and driving blades into it. "He's not even stabbing babies anymore. Babystabber is defeated. Now he just needs to die." Holding the gore of that last dead baby in his wet hand, Babystabber stops moving and becomes despondent, also unclear if he can really continue to identify as Babystabber after having not stabbed that baby. Just as the existential dread of the death of his identity begins to overtake the man that formerly identified as Babystabber, Aaron McLeod chops his fucking big head off, killing him. Standing over the mammoth corpse of the former Babystabber and facing the sunset with their living friends as they wipe the blood from their hands, Aaron is approached by one of the younger angel babies and asked, "Do you think that's really the end of Babystabber?" "I think there will always be Babystabbers out there," Aaron muses forlornly. "But it's okay, because there'll always be angel babies too, and that feels like some kind of karmic balance, I guess." Aaron turns to the other baby for emotional confirmation, but that baby has already stopped paying attention and wandered off. Aaron sighs, lights a cigarette, and exhales towards the freshly visible stars. The end?